The only thing I remember, I just took one bite and I was out of it in 5 minutes.
This is Ruben Borakov. In July 2016, he went on a date with a Russian woman he met online. After trying a slice of her cheesecake, he immediately passed out and nearly died. He couldn't remember anything, and the mysterious woman got away with his money. 2 months later, the same Russian woman visits a beauty stylist, Olga Tsvyk. She claims she needs an urgent appointment for tonight, and so Olga lets the woman inside her home. Olga eats a slice of the woman's cheesecake, and a second later, she passes out. The next thing she can remember, she's in the hospital, fighting for her life. Soon, detectives arrive and start questioning Olga. She tells them everything, but they find the story hard to believe, thinking Olga is a drug user. What they don't know, the Russian woman is Viktoria Nasyrova, an internationally wanted psychopath, wanted for murder. Viktoria has been on the run for years. She would again manage to get away from the crime scene, unless detectives could piece together the evidence and locate Viktoria, putting an end to her unseen terror.
I'm not a killer. I'm woman. Only woman.
It was September 2nd, 2016. New York police officers receive what seems to be a routine 911 call. The call is from a woman who says there are items stolen from her house. The woman is Olga Tsvyk, a beauty stylist specializing in eyelash extensions at a local salon. Just back from the hospital, she informs Rogers, the detective, about being in and out of consciousness, dealing with intense dizziness and nausea. When police officers arrive at the scene, Olga still seems a bit dizzy. All she recalls is a panicky client rushing to her place from the salon, a Russian lady called Viktoria Nasyrova, urgently seeking quick eyelash extensions. She remembered telling her that she had no available appointments that day. However, Viktoria, known for being insistent, consistently proposed doing the job at Olga's home. Olga eventually gave in to Viktoria's request for help with her eyelashes and invited her over. However, Olga's discomfort arose when Viktoria arrived at her doorstep, bringing 3 small slices of cheesecake. Viktoria immediately ate up the 2 slices of cheesecake, after which she insisted Olga try the last one. She ate the last piece just to get rid of her annoying temper, and a few moments later fell to the floor. Olga immediately started vomiting violently and lost consciousness a few seconds later. Although Olga insists on the story she just told Rogers, he is a bit suspicious. Since Olga was behaving strangely when they got there, Rogers wondered if she is a drug user. He tells her, "Olga, I want to trust you, but this just doesn't make sense." But she keeps insisting. She swears it's 100% true, but deep down, he feels she's hiding something. However, in the trash, Rogers spots something. It's a plastic package with the remains of something that looks like pastry. Olga immediately recognizes the box and says it's the cheesecake package that Viktoria brought her. After she ate the cheesecake, Olga fell into a coma for 34 minutes. However, doctors didn't find anything strange in her body. After a week of investigation, Rogers closes the case, due to insufficient evidence. However, all changes a few months later when Rogers finds a new witness in the case, Olga's neighbor. She noticed a woman visiting Olga's place, just a day after the whole cheesecake incident. The neighbor told him that a mysterious woman came to him, claiming Olga was unwell. Curious, he decided to pay Olga a visit, only to stumble upon a bizarre sight. As he entered, it hit him. The room was hot like a sauna. Strangely, the heat was cranked up high, despite the coldish August weather. Olga lay unconscious on the bed. Alarmed by the scene, he quickly dialed for an ambulance. Pills were scattered across the floor. Rogers wondered, did someone attempt to harm Olga and set up the scene to mimic a suicide? Rogers now shifted his focus back to tracking down the suspect, in this case, Olga's client, Viktoria Nasyrova, but no one knew about her whereabouts. Little did Rogers know someone else was on the hunt for her too. It was Herman Weisberg, a private New York detective. Weisberg started working with Nadia Ford back in 2017. Nadia explained that her mom, Alla Alexenko, whom she had a tight bond with, disappeared 3 years earlier in Russia. Nadia revealed that her mom, just before her disappearance, talked about a new best friend she had made, Viktoria Nasyrova. Before hitting New York, Viktoria lived in Russia, right next door to Alla. Now, the story started to make sense. In the autumn of 2014, Alla promised Nadia some amazing gifts for her daughter. Her best friend, Viktoria, was supposed to deliver them. Viktoria had $6,000 in cash, plus 2 fancy fur coats, all ready for Nadia's birthday. However, Viktoria never appeared. October 5th arrived, and Nadia, eager for answers, tried to call her mom, but she was nowhere to be found. Nadia tried calling her over 100 times, as she was very paranoid because it never happened that she didn't pick up the phone. This wasn't like her. Nadia said she noticed something strange when Viktoria befriended her mom out of the blue. The suspicion escalated when she hacked into her mother's phone records online. The last person who called her mom was Viktoria. She answered the call around 11 p.m., after which all trace of her was lost. Nadia immediately ditched everything at her Brooklyn place and made a beeline for the airport. A one-way flight to Krasnodar, about 800 miles south of Moscow, where her mom lived. First, Nadia persuaded Viktoria to join her outside her mom's place, and that's when the confrontation started. Viktoria claimed that Alla was still alive, but then, all of a sudden, started running away from Nadia. Nadia quickly called the cops and led them into her mom's place. Soon, she figured out the spot had been ransacked. Nothing was there. Cash gone, credit cards gone, priceless family treasures and valuable jewelry vanished without a trace. To make matters worse, the burglar made off with the majority of her mother's hard-earned life savings, a staggering $40,000 hidden away in a secret stash. All was gone, and so was Viktoria. The next day, she texted Viktoria this message: "Listen, I give you everything. My apartment, money, you name it. Please just give me my mom back." Nadia was starting to lose all the hope she had. However, there was one more thing she put her hope in. She observed that many main roads had traffic cameras. What if one of those captured Viktoria on the night Nadia's mother disappeared? In Russia, you can buy anything with money, and so she did. She scoured all the cameras in town, expanding her search outward, approximately 100 miles away from the apartment. Footage from the traffic camera altered the entire game. Though the images appeared blurry, Nadia was convinced that Viktoria Nasyrova was in control behind the wheel, and equally confident about the identity of the person seated next to her, her own mother. One more detail confirmed all her suspicions. The date on the camera footage was October 5th, the same day Nadia couldn't get her number on the phone. This gave Nadia hope of finding her mom. Nadia reached out to the Russian police about the pictures, and their response left her stunned. Now that investigators were on the case, they verified Viktoria rented the car with plates matching the ones caught on the traffic camera. They located her and took her in for a lie detector test. However, before the results could reach the police, Viktoria, unbeknownst to them, hopped on the first flight out of Russia. With Viktoria evading capture, Nadia frantically pressed on in her quest to locate her mother, clinging to the slim chance that she might still be alive. She dedicated her life to this cause. But in April 2015, her hope took a devastating turn when a distressed call reached her. Authorities had discovered burned human remains in a distant location, just a 2-hour drive from Alla's home. Nadia was urgently called by the authorities to identify the victim. Crying in sorrow, she recognized her mother by the remains of her teeth. The town of Armavir in Russia is around 110 miles away from Krasnodar. It's a crucial piece of this story because it's Viktoria Nasyrova's hometown and the place where Alla's remains were found. At this point, Interpol had already issued a global arrest warrant for Viktoria Nasyrova in connection to Alla's murder. Back in Brooklyn, Nadia was more determined than ever to find Viktoria Nasyrova. Almost impulsively, she logged into Facebook. She immediately saw Viktoria posting her pictures all over Facebook, living a beautiful life, traveling around and drinking cocktails. All this while Nadia was trying to locate her. First, Viktoria flew to Mexico and then to New York. If only she knew what expected her there. Nadia told all this to U.S. police and immigration institutions, but Viktoria was like a ghost, nowhere to be found. That's when Nadia teamed up with Herman Weisberg, a former New York detective turned private eye. He dug into Viktoria's Facebook with precision of detail, looking for some clues in Viktoria's Facebook photos. He studied every photo carefully until he made a stunning discovery in one of the pictures. In it, Viktoria is wearing those cool Ray-Ban sunglasses, the mirrored ones. In the reflection, there was the most important detail out there in the car: the stitching on that back headrest. It was so important that this would be the start of the downfall of Viktoria. The next day, Weisberg decided he would go to the parking lot and try to find the same stitching he saw in the picture. He was thoroughly walking row by row of the parking lot, looking through the car windows until he found it. A Chrysler sedan caught his eye. The stitching on the headrest was the same. It turns out that the stitching and dashboard layout are exclusive to just one car, the Chrysler 300. Now came the real challenge. locating the exact Chrysler 300 Viktoria has been driving. Firstly, Weisberg came back to Facebook and started looking for more clues. He noticed a bunch of likes on Viktoria's Facebook page, all centered around Sheepshead Bay, a Russian neighborhood in Brooklyn. He sent his people, and they started looking for Chrysler 300 models in that area, and they found a bunch of them. The following day, he had someone check the license plates, and fortunately, he traced it back to a name with a Russian sound. Tracing back to the scene where he found the car, he knew he had hit the jackpot. The stitching was right. The sunglasses in the car were the same Viktoria had in the pictures. Shockingly, the woman Russian authorities were looking for Nadia's mother's murder was currently residing with her boyfriend right in Nadia's hometown, just 4 blocks away. The guy who owned the Chrysler 300 also lived in the same apartment building. The boyfriend eventually turned into one of Viktoria's victims. He claims she not only stole from him, but also took the life of his beloved beagle, Joey. Seemingly, Viktoria grew intensely envious of the dog taking all the attention in the house, so she took a drastic step and decided to poison the beagle. Weisberg was certain the relentless pursuit had come to an end. However, despite reaching out to Interpol and Homeland Security, neither agency was willing to intervene. Taking matters into his own hands, he notified the NYPD. The decisive moment arrived on March 20th, 2017, as the police executed their plan. The woman, once a master of disguise, was now caught off guard, handcuffed, and facing the consequences. Detective Kevin Rogers, the man working on the Cheesecake poisoning case, was taken aback as his phone suddenly chimed with an unexpected call. Rogers finally found clarity in the case. The moment he started looking into the police evidence photos, he spotted a crucial detail revealing Viktoria's true motives. Among them was Olga's ID discovered in Viktoria's apartment, its photo strikingly resembling Viktoria herself. To confirm his suspicions, he sent the remains of the cheesecake from Olga's home to the lab for an extensive testing. The results confirmed his story. There was a lot of phenazepam, a common Russian sedative. Rogers discovered that phenazepam poses a severe threat in a hot setting. Keep in mind that Olga's room heater was blasting on high. Plus, Viktoria's DNA was found on the cheesecake box. Viktoria faced charges of attempted murder in the assault on Olga, along with assault and grand larceny. Before the trial, she decided to give an interview about all that happened. She insisted she had no involvement in Nadia's mother Alla's death. When asked about the cheesecake poisoning, she said she didn't insist on Olga trying a slice of her cake. However, she didn't deny poisoning the cake. Following this interview, the case was ready for a trial. At the trial, both Olga Tsvyk and Nadia Ford testified against Viktoria. All they could see on her face was the smile of the psychopath. She was smirking all the time in the courtroom. It turns out Viktoria refused to testify or answer any questions. Viktoria's defense claimed no one has ever seen Viktoria Nasyrova actually adding phenazepam to the cheesecake. There wasn't a solid proof of that. Also, even though Viktoria poisoned the cake, it doesn't mean she tried to kill her, the defense said. The jury in her trial swiftly reached a verdict in just an hour and a half. Guilty. Viktoria was given 21 years of jail time. Before leaving the courtroom, she made sure to say her final words. F you. Once she serves her jail time in America, Viktoria is looking at deportation and murder accusations awaiting her return to Russia. As we speak, Viktoria is serving her sentence in the Rikers Island jail in New York. Make sure to subscribe and leave a like to help the channel. Thank you for watching.